Okay, so the last video I made, I was talking about my family dynamics and basically just trying to explain where I come from, how I was parented, and how I parent. But I want to just clarify some things because I didn't want to release that video. I made that video last week and I wasn't going to release it. There was a part in it, deep in the video, where I got emotional and I was talking to my daughter about this, and she doesn't get it because she's a kid, right? But she doesn't get that it's hard to try to explain parenting advice, or it's hard to try to explain how you parent, because I don't ever want people to feel bad or feel like they're doing, I'm not attacking parents. I'm not attacking the way other people parent or the way parenting has been handled for the past thousands of years. But I do think that, parenting has evolved over the years, that the original Native American way to parent is different than the European way to parent, but we adapted the European society, so we do a lot of things the European way. There are many ways to do things, more than just one. I'm not saying that the way I parent is right. There are definitely a lot of kinks in the armor, a lot of flaws, a lot of problems, just like everybody else. But all I can give people is my experience. It's no different with, my psychedelic experiences, my life experiences, what I've gone through in my life, as well as parenting. But like I've explained to my daughter, I've made hundreds of videos, but I've only made less than 5 videos on parenting because I understand how hard it is. So that's why me and my daughter decided we're just gonna make videos together, and because these videos that I make are more free flow, just videos where I have an idea of what I'm gonna say, but then I just free flow what I'm gonna say, no notes, nothing like that. But for the videos me and my daughter do, I don't know if we'll necessarily have notes as much as we're gonna have lessons or little things that whatever. One of the first concepts, video concepts, is what's one thing I do as a father that you think could help other fathers, or that's different than other fathers, or whatever. And really, my daughter doesn't really know anything other than me, because she has me, but she also has her mother is with a man, so she they're not married, but they've been together for so long where this dude kind of is her stepfather, so she has that experience as well. But it's this thing where I think, I didn't really necessarily realize that I was practicing conscious parenting until I was in it. Because the whole thing was conscious. Me, I wanted to have a child, so then, I got with a girl, she got pregnant, we had my daughter. I was with that woman for 5 years. I was with her until my daughter was 3. And after that, I broke up with her, left, moved, went through all my whole life shit. Years later, here I am, because my daughter's 11 now, almost should be 12 in I don't know, less than 6 months or so. So it's this thing where I'm just starting to realize, okay, I think it's time that I just explain some things with my parenting things. Because the relationship I have with my mom, and the relationship I have with my daughter, and the relationship that we have with each other is something that I feel the world can learn something from. People can learn something from just the connection that we have as a family, because it reminds me of the fact that before humans built cities and before whatever, humans had nothing but the trees and each other, right? We had each other, and that's what because it's deeper than the family, the tribe, the reason why everybody was a lot more connected back in the day is because all they had was each other. The ego gets consumed by society, by wanting a bigger house, by thinking that you'll do better for your family if you get them a bigger house, if you get a better car, if you're able to buy everything for your child. You think that's better. But that's just the ego helping the ego. The ego in your body helping the ego in your child's body. But there is ego and soul. We're two things in one. We are the soul inside of the body, and we are the body. The body has its own mind, and the body's mind is the ego. But our soul has its own consciousness as well, its own awareness as well. And that's the consciousness, the soul. But in the Western world, it's almost like from everything we do down to parenting is kind of just feeding the ego, making sure the ego is nice and comforted in a nice big house, making sure the ego is nice and comforted, making sure your kids always get what they want, making sure this and that. And like the way I've raised my daughter, that it's like the way her mind is, that it's not about the things that I get her. We understand each other. That's the thing. I think with conscious parenting, what happens is it's not about... Because the reason why I feel like I had to make this video is because I don't want people to misunderstand, like, because I'm not attacking people who, you know, beat their kids, or I'm not putting anybody down who does that or who parents that way. What I'm saying is, when you beat your kids, it causes a disconnection between you and your child. You and your child are two separate things. You are above your child, and theoretically, yes, you're above your child, technically, but not really, because your child is just a human being, just like you. We all are just human beings, right? I'm trying to hide behind this so I don't get the wind. But, oh, hold up. Now, with conscious parenting, it requires humility, okay? So it requires humility on the parent's part to have the humility that maybe in the beginning it wasn't like this. Maybe you were spanking your child, maybe you were whatever. And I'm not saying not to spank your kids, and I'm not saying that it's okay, I'm not saying that it's not okay, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying how me and my daughter have gotten to understand each other, how me and my mother have gotten to understand each other, it's deeper than I'm my daughter's father and she knows who I am, or it's deeper than, you know, my mom is my mom and I know who she is. Like, I understand my mother, she understands me. I've listened to my mom's childhood, I've listened to what she's gone through. Like, I understand her. We've had conversations my whole childhood. She's the one that taught me about sex. She's the one that taught me about, like, this, protection, all that other shit, right? And that's my mom. Just like I'm the one that taught my daughter about those things, and I'm her father. We have this family dynamic, which is we're not disgusted from, like, you know, my daughter learned about sex and protection and where babies come from and all that from her father. And I learned about that from my mother. But that is because we get what we have, right? I said I'm not going to talk about my daughter's mother on here, but she doesn't have the ability to teach my daughter some of these things or to whatever. And that's where I come in, because I never expected the mother to really do anything, because I'm the one that wanted my daughter in the first place. So I was willing to... Like, I was going to take care of her mind. I was going to make sure she was okay, and not in just this physical aspect, because there's a lot of fathers that get caught up in the making sure you have enough money saved for your daughter, making sure you're able to buy everything for your daughter, making sure you're able to whatever for your daughter, so whatever. And I think, you know, with me, it was just always about... I always had this instinct of, it didn't matter if she was a girl or a boy, it doesn't matter. She will be raised... just how I would raise, like, whether I had a son or a daughter, they'll be raised the same aspect, right? With love, compassion, connection, empathy, philosophy, like I don't know, because I'm a philosopher. So ever since my daughter was 3, we would sit down and have, you know, philosophical time, that I would call it philosophy time, and we would just sit down and philosophize and talk and conversate, and it helped build her mind up, helped build her ability to communicate and to think and process information and to analyze and to, like, because I wanted her to be able to analyze information so she can make her own decisions in life. Like, it's this thing where it's like, when I was learning about NFTs, she was my NFT partner, and we were learning about NFTs together. And like now, from like this point on, we're talking about family businesses and talking about like things that, I'm sitting here like, okay, if I didn't consciously parent her, consciously begin to train her mind to be able to just be whatever, then she wouldn't be able to be her. Because it's almost like she's always been her. Like, I don't know how to explain her, but she has her own consciousness. She has her own, like her own thing. It's just she's in a body that, like, can't, I guess, support her consciousness. So I had to try to teach her as young as possible on how to think, on how to process information, on how to whatever. And, you know, she's her. She's her own person. She does her own thing. She has her own ideas. She has her own thoughts. You know, like, even though, like, I'm her father, she doesn't agree with everything even I believe in, or I agree. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but, like, I gave her the ability to be able to think for herself. And just like my mother gave me the ability to think for myself, right? Whether it's good or bad, or whether it looks good or bad to the outside world, my mom needed to give me the ability to be a wannabe thug. I was a wannabe thug. I got locked up for armed robbery when I was 14, right? Like, I went down a fucked up path. But my mom never beat me. She never, like, tried to force me to do something. Like, she never whatever. She allowed me to go through the stages that I needed to go through. And yeah, I got locked up at 14. Yeah, whatever. But those mistakes needed to happen, or I wouldn't have became the man that I am. Just like I'm just allowing my daughter to go through her stages, right? Like, I'm not going to force her to whatever, or like I don't know, because her mother wants me to force her off of social media, or force her off technology, or like whatever. And we have two different parenting styles. So it's like, I'm not going to force her, whatever. I understand her. Just like my mom didn't want to force me because she understood me. Like, and I don't know. And it's just the soup that created me. This is just my life, right? Like, in the last video, I was able to explain a little bit about the background. But, like, the reason why I got emotional is because as I talk to my daughter, you know, she talks to me about the kids at school. And it's like, nobody has a connection like this with their parent. Nobody. You know, like, I don't know, I can't even imagine. It's almost like it's not real. People don't believe it. Because I was in that one podcast with Matei, I think his name was, with Tom Bilyeu. It's almost like Tom Bilyeu didn't believe that it was possible. Like, the way that Gaber was explaining this parenting concept, it's like Tom Bilyeu didn't really believe that that was a real thing. Like that was a utopian idea. Like, because then he said something about, well, what do you do about, you know, when they have a temper tantrum? And that's a disconnected question, because, and it's no disrespect to anyone, you know, any parents out there, but it's just, my daughter had temper tantrums, but she understood, like, when she was 2, of course, she's going to have a temper tantrum. That's normal. You let her do her thing. You let her whatever. But if it's something that you can fix, then you can fix. Maybe she wants to be held, so I held her. Maybe whatever. And those are things that me and her mom would disagree on. That, like, you know, she'd say, you know, put her down or whatever. And there'd be some times where we would put her down and let her cry it out, and sometimes where I would just be like, no, I just want to hold her or whatever, because it was deeper than she wanted to be held. I wanted to hold her. Like, so, you know, it was just little things like that. But when Gaber was talking about this, he didn't use the word conscious parenting, but that's what he was talking about, is conscious parenting. How, like, you know, if your kid has a temper tantrum, that's a lack of like, maybe the person doesn't understand why their kid is having the temper tantrum, and then that means that they're not connected enough to their child to truly understand their child. And it's complicated, because then it gets into, you know, oh, you don't tell me how to raise my kid, or don't call me a bad parent. I'm never calling anyone a bad parent. I'm just putting out information that my daughter is 11, and as we're getting ready to start making videos and start doing this thing, I'm like, well, what I did worked. Yes, we're not a rich family yet. Like, we are talking about starting businesses and whatever, because I made sure she had the mind for that. Like, if she didn't, I mean, these are her ideas. She has more ideas than me, let me tell you. And I'm just like her, fucking, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like I'm just her soldier that's here to kind of create the world that she needs. I became the man that she needs. I'm whatever, and it's a weird thing, but this is just my family's dynamic, and this is just me. And like, yeah, I have 2 sons in the world that I don't know, and I've already talked to my daughter, and we've already planned things where it's like, when my sons are 18, we're gonna have to talk to them, or I'm gonna, she's gonna help me through it, whatever, and because we're each other's rock type shit. Like, just like my mom was my rock when I was a kid, me and my daughter and my mom, we are all each other's rock. We all have each other's back. And a lot of times it's just an emotional thing. It's just a connection thing. Like, it's not like when you have your family's back, it's not like you need to be fucking strapped up. No, we just have each other's back because we know that we're not alone as long as we have each other, right? Even if it's just me, my mom, and my daughter. Because, like, it just is what it is. And a lot of people be like, what if your daughter... I'm not, but you guys... People don't understand the connection that we actually have because words can't explain it. That is why we decided we're just going to make videos. Because words cannot explain it, but she can. Like, she can explain it almost better than me. Like, so... And she's 11. I'm trying to explain to you. She's 11. And the way people be like, yo, the way you talk about your daughter, like... She's like grown? Like, no, she's still a kid. But she's my kid. So like, she's not the average kid. She said something the other day. I'll end the video with that. She said something the other day. She was in school and she had this math thing or whatever, and she didn't do too good on the math thing, but some other little girl was like, Vay, I thought you were smart. Like, you're supposed to be like the really smart girl. How come you don't understand whatever math or whatever? And like, she was explaining, like, there's different types of intelligence. There's different types of smarts, and the type of smarts that she has is a different type of smarts than math smarts. And I was like, fuck yeah, because philosophical intelligence is a little different than like, or the ability to critically think or whatever is different than the ability to like do math or the ability to whatever. But this is just me and my family because I'm me. So like, my family gets me. My daughter gets me. Like, we're already talking about how like she wants to move with me and she wants to live with me. So I'm working on all that. I gotta do so much shit. Like, and then I gotta do some adult shit, like I had to fix my finances and all this other shit. But like, the process to begin the things that we want to do with our life is being done, like, and me and my daughter have made plans thinking out, we're doing this together, right? Obviously me being the head of the thing, but like, at the same time, I listen to her input as well because I know that, she knows what she's talking about with a lot of what she talks about, and like, so I listen. And so we just have this, because this is what I mean by friendship, how we're, me and my mom had the same aspect, except it was my mom, it wasn't me. She's a different person. So my daughter, being that it's me, we just have been philosophizing and communicating and talking and figuring life out. And like, I've explained to her the shamanic aspect of life, but she will not let me fucking explain religion. Like she's like, Dad, I already understand the shamanic stuff. I already understand the plants. We're all one. Like, she's like, I get all that. So I'm trying to explain to her, okay, let me teach you about Jesus and Buddha, and let me teach you about this and that. And she's like, it's just too boring for her right now. So I'm gonna have to teach her those later in life. But the things that she's interested in, like, she wants to talk about business or learn about this, or we learned about NFTs, or learn about the future of reality, or learn about technology, or learning about what we could do as a family and our family dynamics and just the whole thing. Like, I don't know. And then as simple as us so we just watch Inuyasha and anime together and just I don't know. She already had this idea for her first tattoo, and we're gonna get matching tattoos. We're gonna get Inuyasha tattooed on us. And but yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to like kind of clear up some things, because the last video, the reason I got emotional is because all kids want that. All kids just want to be connected, or at least all daughters want to be connected to their fathers. All sons want to be connected to their mothers. This is normal. The reason why the world's like kind of ass backwards is because, a lot of people lack that connection. And connection in your family is going to be different than connection in my family. But because the people in your family are not me. So like my daughter was like philosophically was raised a certain way because that's who I am. My mom raised me a certain way because that's who she is. And my mom did the best she could because I'm a boy, I'm a man, and I'm doing the best I can with my daughter because I'm a man and she's a girl turning into a woman. But as she's going through puberty, these are the moments where she, in a sense, said that she needs her mom, but her mom's not mentally there for her in that aspect. So that's where I come in. And I don't mind, right? I don't mind. I know a lot about reality, including women and female things and all that other shit. So like, I've been able to teach her, and I don't mind that, right? Because it's another barrier that we break when other parents and kids can't break that barrier with each other. That they start the kids get embarrassed, or they say, oh, you're my dad, or yada yada, or the world gets all weird, or like my daughter used to get so mad because like, I don't know, we would cuddle on a couch and watch a movie or something, and then somebody would say like, isn't that kind of weird or whatever. She would get so mad because she'd be like, what the fuck, like, what are you talking about? Like, because my daughter is my daughter, so like now, like I allow her to swear, and because I want her to be her. I want her to be herself, so I allow her to be herself. And I tell her there's certain times and certain places where maybe you can't be so much yourself, just like there's certain times and places where I can't be so much myself. But like, I don't know. I just think that as a society, we need to reconnect with everything. Reconnect with Mother Nature, reconnect with our family, reconnect. And it's not just about being traditional families again, because traditional families were broken for real. They looked good, but they were really broken. Just like my family dynamic looks broken, but it's really good. So like, not everything is what it seems. Not everything looks like, the things that look like gold aren't always gold. So like, build your own family dynamic. Build your own connection with your daughter, with your sons. Build your own connections with your fathers, with your mothers. Build your own connections, and they're gonna be different than mine. Maybe your connection is going bowling, with your family once a week, or maybe your connection is going traveling, and then when you're traveling and camping, you're talking and connecting, and maybe that's it, and that's fine, that's great. Everyone has a different thing, but we can all get connected to our family.